Well, good evening, everybody. We're looking at Bitcoin tonight again because this is the one that's making the big moves. We can definitely tell that there is a lot of suppression that's happening in the market. But what I'd like to do is take a stroll back to November, December of 2013, and the time frame between then and approximately August of 2015. So a long period of time. And this was, one of the other times previously where this proverbial death cross occurred. And just for those of you that aren't familiar with what a death cross is, this is where you have, looking at the 1 day chart, you're looking at the 50-day moving average, which I have highlighted here in yellow, and you have the 200-day moving average, which I have here in red. And in a bull market, of course, you've got the shorter termed moving average that has moved above the longer term moving average, which is the 200-day. Again, we're talking 50-day versus 200-day. And we right now are at this approximate point right here where the two are getting close to touching each other. And as as odd as that sounds, when these two touch from one tip to the other tip, Silicon Valley reference there if anybody got it, um, we've got basically a dump, right? So there are people that are saying that there's going to be a big short that happens tonight. Well, when this happened and they were anticipating these two kind of hitting each other, the price went at this point from $440 down to $366. So almost a $100 decrease, which, if you think of that in terms of a price so small, that was like a 25% drop in this 1 day. So, what is that going to do? That's, of course, going to bring, bulls into the market. But what we have learned throughout history is if you do decide to short Bitcoin today or tomorrow before a big dip happens, I'm not saying before the big dip happens, keep that in mind, before a big dip happens, we have to be smart about the decisions that we make, especially if you are using leverage and all of this to short Bitcoin, because it's very easy to to lose out if the opposite happens. And if you are going to short, you need to be ready to close your position at a moment's notice, because as you can see, yes, we did have a downward motion here, but it came right back the next day, almost to the same spot. So if you are shorting, you need to be able to be ready to short and let the price drop, maybe 15, 20% from where it is, and be ready to close that position. Do not get greedy. Right? If you're going to short Bitcoin and you're going to short with leverage, you need to make sure that you're ready to close that position before things start to come back. And one thing that we've noticed here is when these points cross, it's actually going to bring bulls to the market, because people are thinking, okay, well, these are crossing. I don't want that to happen as a Bitcoin holder. So I'm gonna, there's going to be a lot of people that are actually going to be buying. So this could be a potential to long Bitcoin after the dump happens and the rise starts to come back. More than likely the price is going to increase. And this is exactly what happened in 2014. People are saying, yeah, that was like a 2-year bear market, and it was. It was. But now we can take a look at history, and although, things are different these days, we've got things like, CME, you have CBOE, you have all of these different places that are making crypto more accessible. You've got a lot more interest in the market right now than we did in 2014. So this history lesson, take it with a grain of salt. Use it for educational purposes to make some of your decisions. But what we can see here is we had a run that got rejected right at the 50-day moving average. And really, it got rejected at both the 50 and the 200-day. And we stayed below this 50-day moving average for, let's see, this is in April 15th. That's an interesting day. And it was like this all the way until mid-May before things started to come back. But what we do need to realize is there was an 88% increase in value of Bitcoin from April 11th through June the 6th. 88%. That is significant. If the price of Bitcoin is at $9,000, or really let's say $7,000, right? So let's say Bitcoin, bottoms out at 7K, an 80% increase. That's a significant amount on top of it. It means we're going back up to maybe 12 or $13,000 before things start to come back down. Because again, just like we saw when we had the bottom at 6K, we saw people that got into the market at $6,000 and that sold when it went all the way up to almost $12,000. They took their profits, and now they're sitting here and they're laughing at a lot of people that still have Bitcoin and that are holding. And again, I don't really condone the whole holding mentality, because you are really missing out on some potential accumulation. If you've got one Bitcoin that you had up at 20,000 and the price went down to 6,000, you could potentially have three at that point. So just think of it that way. So then what happens when we have the 88% increase, assuming that's what happens, right? So assuming history repeats itself, we're going to have that, and you're going to see the 50-day moving average start to see, an uptrend, but be careful, because, we can call this a bull trap at this point, because we already know that we are in a heavily suppressed market. And while this is fantastic, profit opportunity. If again, keep that hold mentality, we've got, an 88% increase, but then if we take a look and see what happens next, we're looking at another 76% decrease to the bottom, which this happened in August 17th of 2015. So this is a significant amount of time from our bull trap, which is on June of 2014 to August of 2015. That's over a year. And to actually make it so that you would get your money back, basically to show that the holding actually makes sense, you've really got to hold it all the way through this point for where the price comes back, which is in June of 2016. So we're talking June of 2014 through June of 2016. If you happen to, hold from up here at this high on this bull trap. So think about that. We've got a big cup here, and yes, the cup did return, and Bitcoin did eventually go skyrocketing, and we can see that as evidenced here. What we had over in 2012, 2013, 2014 is minuscule compared to what happened in 2017. But nonetheless, these charts don't lie. When we've got this massive run down from an all-time high, and this cross happens, you can see that people get scared, people sell when that death cross happens, and then it's going to come back, because you've got, this point, on our charts where people, people disagree that the price can't go down any farther, so they eventually start buying back in. And I think a lot of us are actually there right now. But don't hold your breath. We've got this cross that is imminent, and we can see that if we go over here to our chart as it currently sits today, we are getting very close. We are getting very close to this happening, and chances are pretty good that the dump is going to happen before the cross occurs. So that means let's just assume that these lines are going to continue on the same path that they're currently facing. We're really talking about just a couple days before things eventually cross. So we're looking on the 1-day chart. So we basically have 1, 2, 3, 4. I would say within the next 4 to 5 days, this is where we're going to see the price go down. Now, where is it going to go down to? Earlier, I gave some indications that the price could potentially go down to $5,500. It could go down to $4,000. We were talking about approximately 25% reduction in price. If we take a look at it from this way, Here's a 25% reduction in price, takes us down to about $5,500. And if this price happens to be lower from where it is right now, then that makes sense. To have a 25% reduction in price would take us down to about $5,500. So consider these indicators as a potential for ways that you can see the market move, and be very careful, because right now is a very volatile time. We've got a lot of market movement. This may have been the bull trap, and we may have already started some kind of a bear market. But I don't think that it's going to allow us to go much farther than this. I think 5,500, 3,900. I called $4,100 about a month or 2 months ago. And that's an idea that's public on TradingView if you'd like to look it up. I said Bitcoin to $4,100 before recovery, so you can find that. I posted it a long, long time ago. So um, I think that's all that I've got that I wanted to cover for today. I hope you liked the video. Feel free to like, subscribe, share, spread the word, because I think a lot of others are saying very similar things, but we want to make sure that anybody that does have any money invested in crypto, even though this is not financial advice, it's for educational purposes only, we can use some of these educational pieces to help us make some rational decisions when it comes to our money, your hard-earned money. So hope you enjoyed the video, and everybody have a good night, everybody.